Holy shit, you want to talk about a divisive movie. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Kevin Jackwitz. This is the Kaged Review, and this is my review for Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. And my God, did this movie get a lot of hate. You know what? I can kind of understand, but I'm also a huge DC fanboy, in case you hadn't noticed. So this has Ben Affleck coming in as Bruce Wayne Batman. People didn't know what to expect from Ben Affleck. I honestly thought he was the best part of this movie. You have Henry Cavill reprising his role as Clark Kent, Superman. Amy Adams plays Lois Lane. Jesse Eisenberg plays Lex Luthor. Diane Lane plays Martha Kent. Lawrence Fishburne plays Perry White. Jeremy Iron plays Alfred. And you also have Holly Hunter as Senator Finch. And this is where they also introduce Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot. So directed by Zack Snyder. The first thing I want to say is I did my Man of Steel review and I said when you listen to the fans too much, you wind up screwing up. And I think that's part of what happened here with Batman v Superman. There were so many complaints about all the violence and all the destruction in Man of Steel. But yet you never hear that in Marvel movies. And there's plenty of violence and destruction there. And Superman don't kill people. Apparently people don't read comics. But when Zack Snyder took that to heart and made this movie, he acknowledged too many times, that there were areas where nobody's here and it's abandoned or whatever. And it's like, you know what? Make your movie the way you want to make your movie. Don't listen to these idiots on the internet. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. And it's that simple, and it's just that easy. Unfortunately, you have a very small minority, but very vocal crowd on the internet. So this whole movie centers around Lex Luthor trying to set up a fight between Batman and Superman. Batman feels threatened because of Superman and the power he has and the destructive capability he has after the fight in Man of Steel with General Zod. And this is kind of the continuation from Man of Steel. And so you see all this destruction going on. You also see where Batman's just very jaded at this point in his life. He feels like everything is suspect at this point. And so Lex Luthor keeps feeding the fire. You get clips of the actual fight between Superman and Zod with Bruce Wayne down on the ground trying to rescue people and, his building collapsing with his employees inside dying. And you kind of see where this gives him this incentive to be like, all right, we need to be really careful about Superman. Lex Luthor also finds out that this kryptonite rock kind of has effects on Kryptonian flesh. And he also drops the hint to Batman that he has this kryptonite. And so Batman decides he's going to steal the kryptonite, and through a series of events that Lex Luthor helps unfold, he decides he's going to use this, weaponize it, and go after Superman. And on Superman's end, he's really not willing to join in this fight. He doesn't care. He thinks that Batman is kind of he is a vigilante, but he's a little bit more of a killer than he is a hero. And so Superman actually intervenes on one of Batman's missions one night. And he's like, you know what? The bat is dead. Next time they shine your light in the sky, don't go to it. And that's when you get that line, the classic line that showed up in the trailers, tell me something, do you bleed? You will. And so Lex Luthor winds up trapping both Martha Kent, Superman's Earth Mother, and Lois Lane, his girlfriend. He pushes Lois Lane off a roof. Superman catches her, comes up, has a conversation with Lex Luthor where Lex Luthor reveals that he actually has his mother in captivity. He doesn't know where, but if he doesn't bring him the head of Batman, he's going to kill Superman's mother. And so Clark Kent feels very caged at this point, like he has no options, and so he goes to go try to talk to Batman at first. And of course, Batman wants nothing to do but fight. And so you literally get 2 hours of a movie that is that build-up. 2 hours of a movie that is the build-up to the fight, which lasts maybe 5-10 minutes between Batman and Superman. It's very quick, and while it's happening, you're like, yes, this is what we wanted to see. This is badass. Unfortunately, it was there and then it was gone, and you're like, really? That's it? You have a movie called Batman versus Superman, and that's what you're giving us. So people were definitely disappointed about that, and I will say that I was too. I was disappointed. I wanted to see the clash. But I also liked what they did next, which was Lex Luthor uses General Zod's dead body in his own blood to create Doomsday. Now, here's where some people have a lot of things to say, but I'm going to tell you the truth. In the comics, the early versions of Lex Luthor had long reddish hair. So the complaints about that go right out the window. In the comics, Lex Luthor did bring Doomsday back from the dead himself with his blood. That did happen. And he was a weaker version of Doomsday. So any complaints that somebody might have had about any of that can go right out the window. Read a comic, people. So this actually was kind of a love letter to a lot of comics. But then Zack Snyder decides to go all the way with this. And he decides to create on film one of the most famous comics ever, which is the death of Superman. So he creates Doomsday. There is a massive battle between Batman, Superman, and Doomsday. And they bring in Wonder Woman, who has they've been hinting that she's more than who she appears to be all throughout the movie. And Bruce Wayne sends her picture, and you see her dressed up as Wonder Woman. And so she's on a plane, and she sees on the TV this news program that there's this Doomsday creature just wreaking havoc, and so she goes to help. And so all three of them take on Doomsday in an absolutely epic fight. And being that this is a weaker version of Doomsday, they use a kryptonite gas cloud to weaken him. Wonder Woman gets the lasso of truth and she wraps it around Doomsday to hold him still. And then Superman flies a kryptonite-made spear straight through Doomsday's chest. And while that's happening, Doomsday has a spike of a hand because Wonder Woman cut his hand off during the fight and he grew a big spike instead. And he shoves it right through Superman's chest. Boom, the death of Superman. Kal-El and Doomsday both kill each other right there. And that's it. Dude, that was the moment of all movies for me. Like, to see that on screen, I thought was amazing. Because it really is one of the most famous comic books ever. I own the comic. And it was just, I was really surprised they went all in with that. I really was. So very cool. Now, obviously, in the build-up to Batman fighting Superman, there was a lot more to it than what I just said. There were a lot of things that Lex Luthor had to do to kind of try to paint not just Superman, but Lois Lane in a bad light. And there was a couple of setups there. One where there was a courthouse scene where one of the guys who was injured in the attack in Metropolis wanted to face Superman. And Lex Luthor made a wheelchair made out of lead and a bomb exploded. Of course, everybody dies. And so, they had some really cool build-up to it. Now, I personally liked it. I didn't mind that it was a slower pace as long as there was the big payoff. And the payoff to me wasn't Batman versus Superman. Maybe they should have just called it Dawn of Justice, because when you give people the title Batman versus Superman, that's what they want to see. They want to see that big fight. For me, the big payoff was Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman going up against Doomsday. And I really did like that. People had a problem with the way Doomsday looked initially. I thought he looked great. They said he looked like an orc from Lord of the Rings. But yeah, but that was kind of Doomsday. He mutated, when these series of attacks came about, he grew this like rock formation out of his skin that we're all used to. And I thought he looked pretty badass after that. And so people just had all these little things to bitch about. I didn't have those. I really didn't. And I actually really enjoyed this movie. I really did. it was not without its problems. It was a very long movie, and sometimes it did feel a bit long. Go figure. So, but I still had a lot of fun with this movie, and I do think the payoff was a good enough payoff that it was worth the wait. I really do. And the fact that they actually went with the full death of Superman was amazing to me. So ladies and gentlemen, to me it was a very good movie. I absolutely loved it. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. I really felt strongly about it. I thought it was a very, very well done movie. So that's my opinion on it. I know opinions are going to vary, and this is a very controversial movie. Some people absolutely hated it, and that's fine. That's you. This is me. So, 8.5 out of 10. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. My name is Kevin Jackowitz, Kaged Nation. Out.